Another question from our audience.
I'm Fred from Pennsylvania. I've been no-tilling for 40 years, and I'd like to hear these gentlemen comments on this product with no-till farming.
Good question. No-till. How does this work? How does this figure into the equation?
Well, that's let me start on that, Fred. Good name. That's exactly where this product was developed for. No-till, as the name implies, does not allow you to incorporate your nitrogen fertilizer, and so that relies on being on the surface. Not only is that a recipe for loss, but that's where all the residue is. And boy, put urea and residue on the surface and try to hope for rain. Maybe a rain dance will help, but that is exactly where products like AGROTAIN are gonna almost always pay.
I'd like to say this also, Fred. We have a really good researcher, and you have a good friend at Penn State University by the name of Doug Beagle. If you know Doug Beagle, you can count on his word and what he says. You go talk to him about AGROTAIN, he'll tell you. One of the things that they just finished doing is a 3-year study where they were looking at a variety of products with urea on corn yield and return on investment for the farmer. Talk to him because you're going to be real happy. If you're using an AGROTAIN product, you're going to make money.
So we should talk a second about why residue is important. Residue is where urease is all over the place. And so the residue there provides the urease. The AGROTAIN inhibits or stops that urease from working or slows it from working. And that's why residue is such a big deal.
Here's one other thing I want to say about residue and the organic layer, because this is important too. You know, we have another mechanism, and it's really not a loss mechanism, but it's called immobilization, where we put our nitrogen on the surface, and as it moves through there, some of it gets bound up and tied up. It'll be released later on, but it's not going to be available right then or that year. With the AGROTAIN technology, because you're keeping it in the urea form, the AGROTAIN molecule and the urea move together through that organic layer, and as we get more moisture, the urea pushes away and then goes through the natural conversion process. So you don't have that immobilization. We had a big study out of Argentina with a group called APRISEED, one of the largest no-till organizations in the world, and that was the number one thing they were looking at. When I put my nitrogen on the ground, am I going to have any of it lost through immobilization? And the answer was no, they did not.
So you work on these very same things in other countries as well, right?
Yes, that's correct. All over the world, be it China, India, Vietnam, Chile, Argentina, Central America, Canada, Europe, Africa, you name it, we're there.
All right. Another question from the audience? All right, here's another one.
Yes, my name is Robert Dasher. I'm from Glenville, Georgia. And I just wonder, how do you add this AGROTAIN to your solution for the corn? We put out our on the top side, but how do you mix it?
Okay, so you're using liquid. So you're going to fill your tank half full, put a little of your AGROTAIN in there, whatever the amount is, fill it the rest of the way full, and it's going to disperse through there. If you're using the plus, the AGROTAIN plus, which is for liquids, and you're worried about nitrogen loss through other than just volatility, again, fill your tank halfway up, put the appropriate amount of AGROTAIN plus in your tank, fill it the rest of the way up, and it dissolves rapidly. No problems.
John, can we take a second? Could you just explain the difference? We've talked about Super U, we've talked about AGROTAIN, we've talked about AGROTAIN Plus. Just, again, go over the differences between the products.
Okay, sure. AGROTAIN by itself is just the urease inhibitor. It stops ammonia volatility. That's it. When we get into AGROTAIN Plus, that's a dual inhibitor that works on ammonia volatility and leaching and denitrification. So it's going to stop or minimize 3 modes of loss. And it's only used in liquids. The third one is another premium product that we call Super U. It is manufactured at our plant in St. Louis, where we take a seed urea and we make the urea granule, and as it's being made, the inhibitors are being put into that urea granule, so that when you crush it, those inhibitors are all the way through. Unlike some of the other products you have, like if you had a polymer coated that may get cracked, it's not protected anymore. With ours, if you get crushed, it's going to be protected.